Money has a way of revealing the monsters hiding in plain sight. I learned this truth on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon while debugging code at my desk. An email from an unknown sender landed in my inbox. The subject line read, "Your husband's secret account, proof attached." Until that moment, I thought I knew everything about my marriage to Lucas. We were the perfect tech couple, two software developers building our dream life together. Saving for a house, planning for kids, the kind of couple others looked at with envy. My cursor hovered over the delete button. Spam, obviously. But something made me click. Maybe it was the specificity of the subject line. Or maybe some part of me already knew what I'd find. The PDF attachment revealed transaction records spanning 3 years, regular transfers from Lucas's personal account to his mother, Victoria, and sister, Clara. Thousands each month, steadily draining our future away like a slow leak we'd never noticed. "Hey, Fi, want to grab lunch?" Lucas's voice made me jump. He stood in my office doorway, smiling that easy smile I'd always trusted. "Actually," I said, turning my monitor slightly, "I think we need to talk about this." His face changed the moment he saw the screen, not surprise, but guilt. He knew exactly what I was looking at. "I can explain," he said, closing my office door. "Mom and Clara, they're struggling. Jackson still can't find work, and with Alex's therapy. 3 years, I cut him off. You've been hiding this for 3 years while we put off buying a house, starting a family." My voice cracked, but I forced it steady. "How much? Total?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Around 90,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. $90,000. Our down payment. Our future. Clara posts about their vacations," I said. "Your mother just bought a new car. That's what our money is funding." "Their family," Lucas said, as if that explained everything. "What was I supposed to do?" he added. "Tell me the truth. Let me have a say in our financial decisions." I pulled up another transaction. $2,000 last week. What was that for? Alex's birthday party. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. $2,000 for a 5-year-old's birthday party. While we live in a 1-bedroom apartment because we're saving responsibly? Fi, please try to understand. Oh, I understand perfectly. I closed the email, my hands steady despite the rage building inside me. Your mother and sister have been manipulating you for years, and you've been letting them. That's not fair. They need help. They need consequences, I snapped. And so do you. Lucas reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "We can work this out," he said. "I'll tell them we need to cut back. We'll make a plan." "No," I said, standing up. "You've been making plans behind my back long enough. Now it's my turn." "What does that mean?" I grabbed my bag, needing to get out of there before I said something I couldn't take back. "It means I'm going home early. Don't follow me. I need time to think. Nina, please. And Lucas." I paused at the door. "Call your mother. Tell her the gravy train is about to derail." Walking to my car, I felt something shift inside me. The hurt was still there, but something else was rising to take its place, something colder, more calculated. If Victoria and Clara wanted to play games with my marriage, they were about to learn they'd picked the wrong opponent. 3 days later, I sat at his mother's dining table, watching her serve lasagna with the precision of a surgeon. Victoria Anderson's dinner parties were always an exercise in careful manipulation, but tonight, I saw the machinery behind her motherly smile. "Clara tells me you're still renting that tiny apartment," Victoria said, sliding a generous portion onto my plate. "Aren't you two ready for something more permanent?" I felt Lucas tense beside me. "We're working on it, Mom." "Working on it," Clara chimed in from across the table, bouncing Alex on her knee. "But you make so much money," Victoria pressed. "Both of you do. I took a slow sip of wine, noting how Jackson barely looked up from his phone. The new gaming console on their entertainment center caught my eye, another gift from Lucas, no doubt. Actually, I said, keeping my voice light, we've been discussing our financial goals lately, haven't we, Lucas? He coughed, nearly choking on his water. Nina. Oh. Victoria's smile tightened. What kind of goals? Starting a family, I said. Saving for a house. The usual dreams. I turned to Clara. Speaking of houses, I saw your Instagram post about wanting to upgrade. How much are you thinking of spending? Clara blushed. Well, with Alex's needs. What needs? I asked innocently. I thought his therapy was covered by insurance. It's complicated, Victoria cut in smoothly. Lucas understands how important family support is. Don't you, sweetheart? I watched my husband shrink under his mother's gaze, and something snapped inside me. Support is wonderful, I said. But there's a difference between support and exploitation. The room went silent. Even Jackson looked up from his phone. I don't like what you're implying, Victoria said, her voice dangerously soft. Mom, Lucas started, but I placed my hand on his arm. I'm not implying anything, I said. I'm stating facts. Like the fact that Alex's birthday party cost more than our monthly rent. Or that Clara's struggling family somehow affords weekly spa days while we put our lives on hold. How dare you, Clara snapped, her voice cracking. We're barely getting by. Jackson's still looking for work. Really? I pulled out my phone. The LinkedIn profile revealed a surprising truth. Jackson had turned down 3 job offers this year. When confronted, his face turned pale. Is that true? Clara asked, her expression genuinely shocked. They weren't the right fit, Jackson mumbled. Nothing ever is, I said, standing up. Thank you for dinner, Victoria, but I think it's time Lucas and I had an honest conversation about family. Real family. Sit down, Victoria commanded, her tone icy. We're not finished here. Actually, we are, I replied, turning to Lucas. Are you coming? The moment stretched, fragile as glass about to shatter. Lucas looked between his mother and me, years of conditioning warring with the truth he could no longer ignore. Lucas, Victoria said, her voice dripping with warning. Think carefully about what you're doing. He stood up slowly. I'm going home with my wife. The drive home was silent until we pulled into our parking spot. Lucas whispered, they'll never forgive me for this. Good, I said. Maybe it's time they learned actions have consequences. What are you planning, Fi? I thought about the evidence I'd been gathering, a paper trail of manipulation and lies. Justice, I said simply. Unless you're planning to stop me. He was quiet for a long moment. No, he finally said. But be careful. You don't know what they're capable of. I smiled, thinking of the email I'd received earlier that morning from Jackson's last potential employer. Neither do they, Lucas. Neither do they. The coffee shop across from Clara's yoga studio offered the perfect vantage point. I watched her emerge in designer workout gear, Alex trailing behind like an afterthought. There was no sign of the struggling single mom she portrayed in her tearful calls to Lucas. Look who it is, a voice said. I turned to see Jackson sliding into the seat across from me, unshaven and reeking of stale beer, even at 11 a.m. Stalking your own wife? I asked. He laughed, hollow and tired. Following yours more like. Clara's been watching your moves since the dinner. Says you're trying to destroy our family. Interesting choice of words, considering what your family's doing to mine. Jackson's eyes drifted to Clara and Alex getting into their new SUV. You think I don't know what they are? Victoria and Clara, they're like poison. Sweet poison. That's surprisingly self-aware for someone who's been living off my husband's salary. You found those job offers, he said, not a question. Did you also find the ones Victoria sabotaged? That made me pause. What? 3 perfect positions. Victoria called each company, posed as a reference, said I had gambling problems, drug issues. He smiled bitterly. Can't prove it, of course. But the timing was perfect, right when Clara was pregnant with Alex. My phone buzzed with a text from Lucas, * Clara just called. Says Alex's therapy got cancelled. Needs emergency money, *. I showed Jackson the message. Therapy, huh? Jackson said quietly. Alex has never been in therapy. That's just their code for Clara's shopping spree. The pieces clicked together. How long have they been running the scam? Since before Alex was born. Victoria orchestrates. Clara executes. They've got it down to a science. And you just let it happen? His face darkened. You think I had a choice? Try going against Victoria Anderson. See how fast your life falls apart. I pulled out my laptop and opened a folder labeled evidence. Maybe we can help each other, Jackson. I've been gathering proof, bank statements, social media posts, timestamps, but I need more. They'll destroy you, he warned, like they destroyed me. No, I said, turning the screen to show him. They'll try. But unlike you, I'm fighting back. Jackson stared at the documentation. There's something else you should see. He pulled out his phone and showed me a video of Clara and Victoria in a heated argument. Turn up the volume, I said. Can't keep bleeding him dry, Clara was saying. Nina's onto us. That little programmer thinks she can outmaneuver me. Victoria's laugh was chilling. I raised Lucas. I own him. And soon, we'll own that house they're saving for. Jesus, I whispered. There's more, Jackson said. They're planning something big. Using Alex as bait. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Lucas, * Clara says Alex is asking for us. Wants to know if we can take him for the weekend, *. There it is, Jackson said. Phase 1. I felt cold anger settle in my chest. What's their play? They'll claim you hurt him or neglected him. Something just bad enough to force Lucas to choose, his nephew's safety or his marriage. They'd use their own child like that. They'd use anyone. Alex is just another pawn. I started packing up my laptop. Not anymore. I'm ending this. How? I showed him the email I'd drafted to Lucas's entire family, CC'd to their employers, friends, and Alex's school. Attached were videos, bank statements, text messages, a complete record of their manipulation. That'll destroy everything, Jackson said, including you and Lucas. Sometimes you have to burn it all down to build something new. I stood up. Are you with me? He looked at Clara's car, now disappearing around the corner. What do you need? Everything you have, every lie, every scheme, every manipulation. It's time for the truth. Jackson nodded slowly. Tomorrow. I'll bring it all. As I walked to my car, another text came through from Victoria, * family dinner Monday. Non-negotiable. Time to discuss Alex's future, *. I smiled. Perfect timing. They thought they were setting a trap. But they were walking right into mine. The evidence Jackson provided lay scattered across our kitchen table, each piece a damning fragment of truth. Every receipt, manipulative text, and calculated move Clara and Victoria had orchestrated over the years was there, as promised. They used Alex's college fund, Lucas said, his voice hollow as he scanned the documents. The money I sent them every month for his future. Clara spent it on designer bags and spa treatments. I watched his hands tremble as he turned another page. There's more, he continued. The therapy sessions that never happened. The medical bills they claimed weren't covered by insurance. All lies. He looked up at me, something broken in his eyes. How did I not see it? Because they didn't want you to. I pulled out my phone and showed him the video Jackson had captured. Listen. Victoria's voice filled the room. Lucas has always been soft, malleable, just like his father was. Before what? Lucas asked sharply, his face pale. I hesitated. Jackson sent more footage, about your father. Lucas's expression hardened. Play it. Victoria's voice again. Alexander thought he could leave me, take my son away. But I showed him what happens when you cross me. Lucas never knew about the affairs I invented, the colleagues I turned against him. By the time I was done, he couldn't even get a job in another state. Lucas stood abruptly, his chair crashing to the floor. She destroyed him. All those years, I thought he abandoned us, but she drove him away. His voice cracked. And now they're planning to use Alex the same way. Their own grandson. He pressed his palms against the counter, his knuckles white. We have to stop them. We will, I said, moving beside him but careful not to touch. But you need to be sure. Once we do this, there's no going back. His phone buzzed, Clara's name flashing on the screen. He answered on speaker. Lucas. Clara's voice trembled. Alex is asking for you. He's so upset. He says he doesn't feel safe here anymore. I watched Lucas's jaw clench. The same old manipulation, but now we could see the strings. What happened, Clara? He asked, his tone smooth. It's Jackson. He's been drinking again, getting angry. I need you to take Alex for a while, maybe permanently. Lucas's eyes met mine. We both knew this was the trap Jackson had warned us about. Of course, Lucas said, his voice steady. Bring him over tomorrow. We'll take good care of him. After he hung up, I raised an eyebrow. You're playing their game. No, his voice carried a cold determination I'd never heard before. I'm ending it. Alex deserves better than to be their weapon. They'll try to destroy us. Let them try. He picked up his phone again and dialed. Hello, Child Protective Services. I need to report suspected child exploitation and emotional abuse. A chill ran through me. This wasn't part of my plan. It was better. What are you doing? What I should have done years ago, protecting my nephew. He gestured to the scattered evidence. We have proof they've been using him for financial manipulation, neglecting his actual needs, and now they're trying to blackmail us. Victoria will retaliate. Good, he said, a sharp smile crossing his face. Because I just filed for a restraining order against her. With the evidence you gathered and Jackson's testimony, it's enough. My phone chimed, a message from Jackson, Clara's planning something big. Be careful, They're moving faster than we thought, I said. Lucas gathered the documents, his movements precise and controlled. So will we. I'm done letting them hurt the people I love. He paused, looking at me. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. Better late than never, I said, but my mind was already racing. Victoria and Clara's desperation made them dangerous. They'd try something drastic now that their usual tactics had failed. As if reading my thoughts, Lucas said, whatever they're planning, we'll face it together. I nodded, though unease churned in my stomach. Tomorrow would bring something none of us were prepared for. At 3:47 a.m., Clara posted a tearful selfie on Instagram with Alex sleeping in the background. The caption read, sometimes the hardest battles are fought behind closed doors. Praying for strength as my sweet boy faces another challenge. #SingleMomStruggle #PrayForUs My phone buzzed, Jackson. She's gone, he said without preamble. Took Alex and disappeared. Left a note saying she's protecting him from all of us. The floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. When? An hour ago. Victoria picked them up. I was already shaking Lucas awake. He sat up instantly at my expression. "They're running," I said. His face hardened as he checked his phone. 6 missed calls from his mom. He played the voicemail on speaker. "You ungrateful children. Did you really think you could threaten us with CPS? Clara's right, you're both unstable. Don't worry about Alex. We'll make sure he's safe from your toxic influence." Another Instagram notification popped up. Clara was live. I never wanted to do this publicly. Clara's voice trembled perfectly. But after what happened, my own brother and his wife, the threats, I have to protect my son. Comments flooded in, * stay strong. Praying for you. What happened, *? They're setting us up, I said. Making us look like the villains before CPS can investigate. Location services, Lucas suddenly said, grabbing his laptop. Clara's phone, I'm still her emergency contact. I can track it. As he worked, I scrolled through Clara's social media history with fresh eyes. Every post, every sympathy-grabbing story had been building to this moment, creating a public record of our supposed instability while painting herself as the victim. Got them, Lucas said. Lucas's voice was like ice. They're heading north on the interstate, to the lake house. I realized immediately. Victoria's secret property, I said. The one she bought with our money. Perfect place to hide until CPS closes the case, he muttered. My phone lit up with a text from Victoria, * last chance. Drop the CPS report, or Clara goes public with evidence of your abuse. Your choice, *. I showed Lucas the message. What evidence, he said, though his tone was resigned. Doesn't matter. They'll manufacture something, they always do. I opened my laptop, pulling up the folder of evidence I'd been gathering. Then maybe it's time we go public first. Lucas shook his head, gesturing toward Clara's live stream comments. Look at this. Hundreds of people already think we're monsters. If we wait, their narrative wins. I hesitated. But exposing everything could hurt Alex. The truth hit hard. In my quest for justice, or revenge, had I become just like them, willing to use a child as collateral damage? My phone buzzed again. A message from Jackson, * Clara just posted your address in a private mother's group, claiming you're dangerous. People are sharing it. You need to be careful, *. Lucas's expression darkened. That's it. That's their play, to force us to react, make us look unstable. Then we don't react, I said slowly. We let them think they've won. What do you mean? I started typing, my fingers flying over the keyboard. Clara's not the only one who can use social media. But instead of fighting back, we show concern. Post about how worried we are that she's disappeared with Alex. Share resources about family trauma and manipulation. Let the truth speak for itself. Lucas watched, understanding dawning. They're expecting a fight. Exactly. So we give them the opposite. And while they're waiting for us to explode, we're actually following their trail to the lake house, with CPS and the police. I hit post on my first carefully worded message of concern for Clara and Alex. Within minutes, the tone of the comments began to shift. Ready? I asked. Lucas nodded, grabbing his keys. They taught me everything I know about manipulation. Time to show them how well I learned. As we headed for the car, another notification popped up, Clara going live again. This time, we didn't stop to watch. We were already moving. The lake house loomed in the pre-dawn darkness, its windows glowing faintly. The secluded property seemed to hum with menace. Lucas killed the engine a quarter-mile away, and we crept closer through the woods. My phone vibrated, another message from Jackson, * CPS is 30 minutes out. Clara's still live streaming, claiming you're stalking them, *. A child's cry pierced the night. Alex, Lucas whispered. He sounds scared. Through the kitchen window, we saw Victoria pacing, her phone pressed to her ear. Clara sat at the table, tears streaming down her cheeks as she performed for the camera. And now they're threatening to take Alex away, Clara said, her voice carrying through the open window. My own brother, corrupted by that woman. Quiet, Lucas hissed, pulling me deeper into the shadows as Victoria stepped onto the back deck. The papers are ready, she said into her phone. Once Clara signs, the house transfer will be complete. They'll have no choice but to back off. Once we own their property. My blood ran cold. I pulled out my phone, checking our joint account. The down payment we'd saved, gone. Transferred to Victoria's account 10 minutes ago. Lucas, I whispered, showing him the screen. His face turned ashen. My passwords. Mom always knew them. I never changed them. A new voice cut through the night, Jackson's. He strode up the front path, Alex's favorite stuffed dinosaur in hand. Clara, he called out, his voice steady. Let me see my son. Clara appeared at the door, her phone still recording. Stay back. I have a restraining order. No, you don't, Jackson said. Just like Alex isn't in therapy, and you're not a single mother. Stop lying. Drunk, Victoria announced loudly for the live stream. Everyone can see it. I'm sober, Jackson said firmly. Clear enough to testify about everything, the fake medical bills, the manipulation, all of it. Victoria's smile turned predatory. Testify. With your history of alcoholism and domestic violence? My heart sank. Of course, they had documentation, probably manufactured years ago for this exact moment. Unless, Victoria continued, you want those police reports to resurface, take your dramatic performance elsewhere. We're busy saving Alex from actual abusers. Jackson's shoulders slumped. He dropped the stuffed dinosaur and walked away, defeated. Time to end this, I whispered to Lucas, stepping forward. Wait, he grabbed my arm, but it was too late. The motion sensor lights flooded the yard, exposing us. There. Clara shrieked, her camera whirling to catch us. They found us. They're trying to break in. Victoria's smile was triumphant. Right on cue. Clara, call the police. Lucas, I expected better from you, breaking and entering. Stalking. What will your employer think? You stole our house, I said, my voice shaking. No, dear, Victoria replied, her tone dripping with mockery. You transferred the down payment willingly. The paperwork shows that clearly, just like the paperwork shows your history of unstable behavior and threats against Clara. Sirens wailed in the distance. Victoria held up a thick folder. One last chance. Drop everything, the CPS report, the accusations, all of it. We let you keep your jobs, your reputations. Otherwise, she trailed off with a sharp smile. Lucas's hand found mine, his grip tight. You can't. I can do anything, Victoria cut him off. I always have. The question is, how much are you willing to lose? The sirens grew louder. Through the window, I saw Alex clutching his blanket, watching us. Clara's phone kept streaming, recording every moment of our apparent crime. Time's up, Victoria said. Choose. I looked at Lucas, seeing the defeat in his eyes. Everything we'd built. Everything we'd fought for. And I realized, this wasn't over. Not yet. We had planned, but they'd beaten us at our own game, turning our evidence gathering against us. One wrong move now would cost us everything. The flashing lights of police cars appeared at the end of the drive, signaling our impending defeat. Victoria's voice dripped with triumph. I opened my mouth to surrender when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Jackson, check your email now. Victoria's smile faltered as she saw my expression change. I didn't respond right away. Sometimes the best revenge isn't winning the game, but changing the rules entirely. I opened the email, and hope flickered back to life. Jackson's email contained a single video file. I pressed play just as the police officers approached, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. "Everything's on record," Victoria announced, her voice swelling with confidence. "They broke onto private property." "Actually," I interrupted, turning up my phone's volume. "You should watch this first." The video began. It showed Victoria in her kitchen, 3 years ago, coaching Clara. "Just tell Lucas you need the money for Alex's therapy," Victoria's voice said. "He'll never check. He trusts you. And if Nina ever catches on, we'll say you're being abused. No one questions a victim." Clara's voice was clear. "But what if Jackson talks?" Victoria scoffed. "We've got enough dirt on him to keep him quiet forever. Now, about that house they're saving for." I watched as the color drained from Victoria's face, her own words playing against her. Every manipulation, every planned accusation, every calculated move, all laid bare. Clara's phone clattered to the deck, the live stream forgotten. "Where did you?" Victoria started, but then she froze. Jackson's voice filled the silence. "I've been recording everything for years." "Insurance," he called it. "Smart man." The police officer stopped listening to Victoria's protests, focused now on the damning evidence in front of them. "That's doctored," Victoria snapped, her voice shaking. "They're harassing us." "The metadata is intact," I said calmly. "Timestamps, location data, everything. And there's more. Every conversation about fake therapy sessions, every plan to exploit Lucas's guilt, every dollar stolen from Alex's future, all documented." Lucas's voice cracked. "Mom, is this true? Even Dad?" "I protected you," Victoria spat. "Everything I did was to keep this family together." "By destroying it," Lucas said, stepping forward. "By using my nephew as a weapon. By driving away everyone who threatened your control." Clara burst into tears. Real tears this time. "You said we were helping Alex. You said Lucas owed us." "Shut up," Victoria snarled, but Clara was unraveling. "The therapy money, Alex's college fund, was that your idea?" Clara asked, shaking. "I said shut up." Victoria snapped. The back door opened, and Alex stood there, clutching his blanket in his pajamas. "Mommy, why is everyone yelling?" The silence that followed was deafening. "Sir," one officer said, addressing Lucas. "We received reports of stalking and harassment." "Play the rest of the video," I said quietly. "Everything there. Including the financial fraud and conspiracy to commit theft through coercion." Victoria lunged for my phone, but Lucas caught her arm. "It's over, Mom. No more manipulation. No more lies." Victoria's face twisted with rage, but the officers were quick, restraining her as they placed handcuffs on her. "Victoria Anderson," one officer said, "you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud." Clara collapsed onto the deck, sobbing uncontrollably. "Alex, baby, go inside," Jackson called out from behind us. He stood with 2 CPS workers, their expressions grim as they reviewed the documentation on a tablet. "You can't," Clara began, her voice breaking. "Until this is sorted out," one CPS worker said gently, "Alex needs a stable environment. Mr. Sanders has provided evidence of ongoing emotional abuse and exploitation of a minor." I watched Alex run to Jackson, his little arms wrapping around his father. I saw the way he clung to him, seeking comfort. All the schemes, all the manipulation, and in the end, they'd forgotten the one person who mattered most. Lucas's face softened. "Thank you," Jackson called out to me, his voice full of gratitude. "For showing me there was another way." I nodded, my eyes following Clara as she was questioned by the police, Victoria being led to a patrol car. The years of manipulation, carefully documented, were finally coming to light. What now? Lucas asked, his voice a little raw. I took his hand, thinking of the nursery we'd planned, the future we'd fought to protect. Now, we build something new. Something honest. Behind us, the lake house stood silent, its windows dark. No longer a fortress of lies, but a monument to truth's inevitable victory. Sometimes, revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. It's about refusing to let them destroy what matters most. Dawn was breaking over the water, casting a soft light across the new life we were building. The nursery walls were half painted when Jackson's text arrived. Asterisk Clara's asking to see Alex. Says she's been getting help, asterisk. I watched Lucas's brush strokes falter, yellow paint dripping onto the drop cloth. We'd chosen yellow because it felt like hope, warm, uncertain, but persistent. What do you think? He asked, not turning around. I looked out the window, watching autumn leaves scatter across our new backyard. It was smaller than the one we'd originally planned, but it was ours. Free and clear. No manipulation. No hidden costs. We're just getting started, I said softly. I think, I said carefully, that's Alex's father's decision to make. My phone buzzed again, and I glanced at the new message, a photo from Jackson. It was a picture of his new office, his name proudly displayed on the door. Below it, a note, asterisk first day as junior developer. Thanks for the recommendation, asterisk. Lucas set down his paintbrush, his expression solemn. Mom's sentencing is tomorrow. The weight of that knowledge hung between us, thick and heavy like smoke. Victoria had pleaded guilty to reduce her charges, but the evidence trail had led to more victims, other families she had manipulated and destroyed over the years. The doorbell rang, cutting through the silence. Jackson stood on the porch, Alex clutching his hand. The boy was wearing a camp t-shirt, a gift from his father's new workplace. Uncle Lucas. Alex rushed forward, arms wide for a hug. Dad's teaching me Python already. Lucas laughed, a genuine burst of joy breaking through the tension of the day. Watch out, or he'll be competing for your job soon. Actually, Jackson cleared his throat. We wanted to show you something, Nina. He handed me his phone, open to Clara's private Instagram. But instead of victim posts or carefully staged suffering, there was just a simple photo of her therapy group. The caption read, asterisk learning to break generational patterns. Day 47, asterisk. She's doing the work, Jackson said quietly. Real work. Not just performance. Lucas touched the yellow wall paint, still wet. And Victoria hasn't tried to contact either of us. Jackson nodded. The counselor says that's probably best for now. Alex tugged at my sleeve, his eyes wide. Is the baby's room yellow? Like a duck. Like sunshine? I corrected myself. Yellow, just yellow. Then I caught my mistake. It had been Victoria who used to say things like that, everything wrapped in pretty metaphors to hide harder truths. Jackson nodded, understanding in his eyes. We should go. Alex has coding class. Wait, Lucas said. The birthday party next week. If you both wanted to come. The invitation hung there, fragile like a soap bubble, an offering that wasn't forgiveness exactly, but something newer, more cautious. We'll think about it, Jackson said, glancing at Alex, who was already running back to the car, excited about his next lesson, learning to build something, not break it. After they left, Lucas resumed painting. His strokes were more confident now. You know what I realized? He asked, stepping back to examine his work. We spent so much time trying to get revenge, we almost missed the real victory. Which was building this. Something true. He gestured around the nursery. Mom always said family was about loyalty at any cost, he continued. But it's really about growth, isn't it? Even when it hurts. I touched my stomach, not yet showing but full of promise. Speaking of growth. Lucas's brush clattered to the floor. I found out this morning. Wanted to wait until after tomorrow's sentencing to tell you. He pulled me close, paint-stained hands and all. Through the window, I saw Alex waving from Jackson's car as they drove away. In my pocket, Clara's latest message waited for a response. Somewhere across town, Victoria was preparing to face the consequences of her choices. Revenge had been my first instinct, but healing proved to be the better path. Not perfect healing, some scars would always remain, but real healing, built on truth, boundaries, and the courage to start again. Yellow really was the right choice, Lucas murmured against my hair. I smiled, thinking of the broken patterns and the new ones forming. It's just a color. No, he said softly. It's a beginning. Outside, the autumn winds scattered more leaves across our yard. Tomorrow would bring Victoria's sentencing, Clara's tentative steps toward change, Jackson's new path. But today, in this room that smelled of fresh paint and possibility, we had already won something better than revenge. We had won our future.